it's that democracy is fragile, and electoral democracies only work when everyone trusts that the outcomes of elections are truly representative. And in response to recent threats to democracy in America, we realize that we need bold and innovative solutions to reinvigorate political and electoral participation. And we're particularly interested in how we can get youth to be more civically engaged. 2020 was a year of turmoil, but it was also a year of activism. We saw the Black Lives Matter movement, climate action movements, record high turnout in the 2020 election, and many more examples of civic engagement. And one thing that particularly stood out was how involved and engaged youth were. Many of these social movements were led by youth. Youth voted at record high numbers, and overall, 2020 truly showed the power that the youth voice can have in politics. So, a small group of us who are actively engaged and interested in the 2020 elections and in politics in general were particularly moved by the events of the past year. And we got interested in the role that youth can play in shaping our democracy and how we can get youth to be more civically engaged. And that's why we came together to start Vote16 SMC, which is a campaign to lower the voting age to 16 for local elections in San Mateo County, California. We're actually a purely youth-led organization, and this is a list of our leadership team. We have 15 total team members, as well as a small group of volunteers. And I'm going to talk first a little bit about the research that we've done so far. So first, I want to convince you all that youth voter turnout is currently a crisis in America, if it's not something you already believe. Pretty much since the voting age was first lowered to 18 in 1971, youth have voted at a rate that's 20 to 30% lower than voters ages 60 plus. And this problem is also fairly centralized to the United States. So if you look at the gap in voter turnout between 18 to 25-year-olds and 60-plus-year-olds, compared to other democracies like Germany and Canada, the US has an almost embarrassingly high age gap in voter turnout. So how can we address this problem? The solution we came across was lowering the voting age to 16 for local elections. And I'm just going to give a brief overview of the research we compiled on why this is an effective solution. So the first one, as I mentioned, youth voter turnout is currently dismally low in the United States. And the age gap between old voters and young voters is worse for the United States than most other democracies. What lowering the voting age does is it instills voting as a habit early on, while 16 and 17-year-olds are in a stable high school environment. And research shows that if someone votes when they're 16, they're up to 25% more likely to vote by the time they turn 18. Furthermore, 16 and 17-year-olds have a stake in the game, meaning the political issues that are being voted on in elections, like climate change, education, gun control, poverty. These are all issues that disproportionately affect youth, and so it's almost natural that you should have a say in how these issues are being decided. And finally, our main goal is to get youth more interested, active, and educated in politics. And lowering the voting age does that because voting is essentially the ultimate expression of democracy. And voting ensures that high school educators have an opportunity to teach politics to 16 and 17-year-olds, and 16 and 17-year-olds have incentive to actually care about the political issues that they're deciding on. So I'm going to pass it off now to Tiran, our head of social media, to talk about what we accomplished in the scope of our project.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to talk about our goals and what we've accomplished so far. So initially, when starting this campaign, we had quite ambitious goals. We hoped to get a measure on the ballot, but quickly realized that we had a lot of work to do before we got to that point. So we pivoted and began focusing on educating, reaching out to others in our community, and getting endorsements from local politicians. We wanted our campaign to have widespread community and political support before we move forward. And so we met all these goals. We have strong support from state and local elected officials, have held campaigns to educate high schoolers within our community on the importance of voting and youth civic engagement, and have established a strong presence within our community and built partnerships with various stakeholders. So our efforts in terms of outreach are, we've held a strong campaign to reach out to the rest of our community. In the fall of 2020, we held a fireside chat with Christian Lundberg, a researcher from Tufts University, where we discussed the importance of youth civic engagement and youth voter turnout. We hosted our campaign's kickoff event earlier this year with keynote speakers Kevin Mullen, the Speaker Pro Tempore of the California State Assembly, and Ray Mueller, the former mayor of Menlo Park, where we discussed their thoughts on youth voter engagement and whether they believe the voting age should be lowered. We have an active social media presence and numerous educational resources on our website. We have worked with some local high schools to bring civic engagement education to the classroom. In terms of endorsements, we've spent time reaching out to organizations and elected officials asking for their advice and support. Vote16 SMC has partnered with 2 youth organizations, as well as Civic, a government tech startup building an app that connects elected officials with their constituents. We've also met with 2 California State Assembly members, 3 mayors, 7 city council members, and gained their endorsements and valuable feedback from each. We hope to continue to expand our partnerships, perhaps even with some of our peer organizations here today, who share our mission and passion for youth civic engagement. Thank you to everyone, and let us know if you have any questions. You can also go to our website, vote16smc.org, to see more resources and to reach out and contact us in case afterwards you'd like to collaborate or have any further questions. Thank you so much.
All right, excellent presentation. So does anyone have any questions or anything of the sort right now for Vote16 SMC? There's a question in chat if anyone from Vote16 wants to take a look. Is there any legislation for this?
Yeah, I can answer that. So there's actually legislation across the country right now to lower the voting age. Some places have actually already lowered their voting age to 16, including in Tacoma Park, Maryland, Berkeley, California, and Oakland. And we're currently working to get legislation in San Mateo County for the 2022 ballot, as well as cities across San Mateo County. So we have a majority support from the Redwood City Council. And so we're in the process of getting the Redwood City Council to pass a ballot initiative for the 2022 election. And there is also a national constitutional amendment that's been proposed in Congress to lower the country's voting age to 16.
Any other questions or comments or any kind of discussion starters on this? We've got quite a large amount of time before our next presentation. There's another question in chat for SMC 16, and that is, who is involved in this effort, or who all are involved in terms of leadership?
You want to take this one, Tyrone?
Yeah, sure. I can answer this one. So Vikram, who's our founder and campaign director, is obviously one of our members, but so am I. I'm the head of social media. We currently have a total of 15 full-time members and numerous volunteers who help out with some of our work in the various high schools within San Mateo County, as well as help around with some of our upcoming projects. So our team is not too large right now, but we have a lot of very politically engaged and curious students who work with us. And this really helps to drive it forward because they're passionate about this project. And we currently have applications open for team members who'd like to join. It's on our website. So if you are in the San Mateo County area and are interested in helping out with this team, let us know and we could get you on.
I think Margaret has a question.
Yeah, Margaret, go ahead.
Hello, great job, guys. Just one quick question. Is that in local efforts, or is there concerted efforts across the nation for the push for lowering the voting age to 16?
Yeah, so we are actually a chapter of Vote16 USA, which is a national organization coordinating local efforts to lower the voting age across the country. So while we are mainly focused on lowering the voting age just for San Mateo County, we are also working with Vote16 organizations across California and across the United States to coordinate efforts, share campaign strategies, things like that.
So if there are interns or youth who are interested in perhaps, joining your efforts, but, at a different location, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, so depending on your location, you can see if there's already a Vote16 chapter working in your area, or it's actually fairly easy to start your own Vote16 chapter. That's what I did. I just reached out to Vote16 USA, and they send you a pretty handy campaign guidebook. And so it's a pretty easy solution.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Great work, guys.
Thank you.
We have a question from Chinbai in the chat box, and then we'll take a question from now. Question in the chat box is, what challenges have you had for this project?
So not everyone agrees that 16-year-olds should have the right to vote. Many use anecdotes from their day-to-day lives to argue why they don't believe that 16, 17-year-olds should have that right. So not everyone shares this vision, which sometimes leads to, when we speak to local politicians, there's being some disconnect and them choosing to not cooperate or work with us. And that has been challenging, but many times we've worked through this by using our educational resources and our knowledge of the research and everything such as that to argue and defend our point. And this has led to us convincing many who generally would disagree with us to come to our side. And Vikram and I currently, we go to the same high school. We have had a few debates with some of our peers, and we've swayed a few of them. So there are certainly challenges with a campaign like this, but we've worked through them and tried to do so through education.
Leon, go ahead. You had a question?
Oh, hi. So, great initiative. However, I wonder, besides getting people to register to vote, what other things you are doing in terms of education about how to vote? I mean, for you, all of you who are very civically engaged, that's not an issue. But for vast majority of not only 16-year-old, 17, 18, even adults, voting, the ballot has many, many, many boxes to check. How to find out which one is the proper one to check is not easy. So just be able to vote, but vote blindly is worse than not voting. So how do you educate the 16-year-old to be equipped with the knowledge and know-how of how to vote?
Yeah, that's
not just checking the box.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that's why before we dove right into trying to lower the voting age, we wanted to first make sure that 16 and 17-year-olds were educated enough, at least in San Mateo County, to be able to cast a knowledgeable and expressive ballot. And so that's why we've been trying to go to as many local high schools as possible, teaching high schoolers, specifically 16 and 17-year-olds, what it means to vote, how they can effectively cast a vote that represents their political beliefs best. And through our 2 events that Tiran mentioned, our kickoff event and our educational event with Christian Lundberg, we've not only talked about the importance of voting and lowering the voting age, but we've also generally talked about how to cast an effective ballot, what it means to be a responsible voter. So we're attempting not just to lower the voting age blindly, but accompany that with a push for civics education as well.
Yeah, so that means you need civics education in middle school, so that by 16 they are mature enough in their civic knowledge to vote.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And yeah, as we continue with this initiative, we're definitely looking to expand our civics education.
It looks like there's quite a few messages. In the interest of time, I want to make sure that we can give all the presentations adequate amounts of time to prepare or present and take questions. So we're going to go ahead and move on at this point. Chinba, if you want to ask that at the end, if we have any additional time for discussions or whatever of any projects towards the end, then we can go ahead and do that. But for now, I just want to make sure that we move things along steadily here. So
Vikram,
yeah.
Tiran, you're also welcome to leave any contact information in the chat for people to find you later if we don't have time for questions right now.
Similar to what Snap Civics did. Liang, do you still have something pressing, or you just forget to lower your hand? Okay.
Actually, sorry, Nelson, if you look at the website, the next presentation start at 9:55.
9:55. I see a.
It's on 9:50.
I think
yeah, I believe it's
9:50 should be.
I believe it's
We're running a
9:50,
little ahead of
and
schedule.
Yeah, I think it's
we're slightly ahead.
9:50.
Yeah, I mean, I would
It's
just like to make sure that
9:50.
we have some additional time, and if we have, if we have time at the end, we can circle back to topics. But I want to make sure that we don't run over time. Is the biggest priority here because we're on a pretty tight schedule. Yeah, okay. So our next presentation should be at 9:50. So that will be YAPA Let's Talk. So can you guys make sure to set everything up, and yeah.
Oh, Nelson, please.
Yeah, is
share
sorry,
screen.
what's
I'm presenting.
Oh, you're presenting?
Esther,
Okay.
Yeah, they are all busy with the next presentation.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen, get things set up for that? All right. Go ahead, start the time. And yeah, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Liang Chao. I'm the co-founder of YALT, YAPA Let's Talk. Also, this idea of having a forum of bridging the divide community forum was originally my idea, but then truly the students did most of the work. And here is our student team. And they contacted the speaker on their own. They come up with the idea on their own that high schoolers are interested and prepared all the promo material on their own. Unfortunately, Sanjay is moderating another room right now, and Esther is busy preparing for the next presentation for YAPA, and Dylan has another engagement.
Esther is here.
Oh, Esther is here.
Actually, I'm here, so I can give a little bit of my perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So obviously this was originally Liang's idea, but we like student team members were also very passionate about this idea of having a forum where specifically young people, teenagers, high school students could have this sort of civil discussion about controversial issues that were kind of plaguing the political discussion in our country. So Sanjay and I specifically have been involved in many kind of online like political circles on social media and social networking sites for a while. So we've had experience with this kind of online discourse. And what we notice is really that there is definitely this sort of environment in this online political discourse that is not very healthy or conducive to productive discussion. And we wanted to create a space where people could discuss in good faith and also have a background knowledge of whatever issue they were discussing. So in our forum, we make sure to give people a lot of background information. We research good information. We vet our sources that we kind of send out to our participants before they enter the actual forum. And we moderate the discussion with guiding questions and just also participate kind of minimally in the conversation as moderators to ensure that it's kind of productive and that everyone gains a better idea of the other side after our discussions. So Liang, did you want to say anything else? We actually have a video to play.
Yeah,
Well,
so
kind of go more
I'll play the video. And it's just, I'm amazed at the capacity of all the high schoolers. They are willing to listen because here we are not here to debate to win. We are here especially to listen to the other side. And many high schoolers are so welcoming to this idea. So next I'll play the video the team prepared.
Yeah, you can make it full screen.
Yeah.
It's on the right bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there.
There's no audio.
Oh, I forgot to check that box.
Yeah, you can reshare maybe.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sanjay Muralitharan, a senior at Washington High School.
Hey, everyone. I'm Esther. I'm a senior at Saratoga High School.
And I'm Dylan. I'm a senior at Monte Vista High School.
YAPA Let's Talk is a quarterly webinar that aims to depolarize America's political climate. You might be thinking that there are many other similar programs, just like YALT. Some examples could be Braver Angels or Common Sense America. But there are a few key aspects that make YALT truly unique. How our program is made by youth and is for youth. We, like as students, know what issues are most polarizing and most interesting to youth. So that allows our program to be more targeted to that specific audience, which is very different from a lot of these older programs that are targeted to more older audiences. In addition, our program combines both important discussions along with having expert presenters give their input on issues. So this allows for our participants to both be able to learn diverse perspectives from experts as well as share their own opinions to each other.
In Young American Policy Advocates, we'd like to teach high schoolers how to make better policy that usually involves listening to multiple perspectives and appreciate people having different point of views because their diverse thoughts actually make our policy stronger. And I am happy that a lot of high schoolers actually appreciate the diversity of thought so that we don't live in an echo chamber and we actively reach out to people who hold different views and understand where they are coming from. Even when we have common goals, people might have different ways of achieving them. A lot of times the best policy is a compromise that consider all point of views.
So what exactly was our timeline and how we went about setting up and executing this event? Our first step was selecting a topic of relevance that was either controversial or has been prominent in the media lately and that people might have different opinions on depending on their values and perspective. Going from there, we acquire informational materials and come up with guiding questions to facilitate a productive discussion. We vet our questions to make sure that they aren't biased towards a certain answer or a certain perspective, and we provide preliminary readings, videos, and materials to people so that they can gain a better, more well-rounded view of the issue's background and the origins and how these different views and perspectives came about. Going forward, we recruit speakers, emailing people we think would have a non-biased or multifaceted view of the issue, or have something insightful to provide to our participants in terms of how to have a good faith discussion with empathy and understanding. So this usually occurs 2 to 3 weeks before our event. Going forward, we do promotion and outreach, promoting in our school's active political organizations and student groups that are interested in these issues. For example, if the event is on affirmative action, we might reach out to our schools like Black student organization, something like that. We also promote on social media, where many of us are active in online discussion circles, and we reach out to students from other locations, colleges via email lists in the few weeks leading up to the event. And during the event, we student leaders obviously moderate and encourage productive discussion and make sure each participant feels heard. And after the event, we generally focus on kind of a recap reflection of the event, figuring out what we can do better going forward, and creating a recap article and also a recording of the event.
As for the exact details of these events, we opted for a quarterly format for YALT. That's 4 events each year. We held our first event in late March of this year on a topic of race-based affirmative action. To introduce the different sides of this issue, we invited Mr. William Roosh, who's been a high school social studies teacher for 15 years and is also the host of his own podcast, Cylinder Radio. Here's a picture from our first event. Our second event was held this past July on the topic of whether American society is a patriarchy. This time, we expanded the event to include 3 guest speakers: El Bo, a writer on the sociological implications of America's cultural narratives; Luana Marhua, an assistant professor of biology at Williams College; and Xander Keeg, a trans man who began his transition at the age of 39, and who is also a veteran and social worker. Here are some more details on our most recent event. In addition, because of the quarterly format, we are anticipating to hold another event later this fall and to continue with 4 events a year into the future.
So I took away various major lessons from this program. Probably the biggest one would be that people are willing to have civil conversations with one another. The only thing that kind of prevents this is the environment that they're in. Like when we're on social media, we don't see each other as people. We just see each other as like a bunch of number tags that has, or number and name tags that have differing opinions than us. So it's way easier for us to belittle one another. But when you put 2 people in a face-to-face discussion, whether it's in person or over Zoom, it's far easier for them to realize that the person they're talking to is actually another human being who isn't inherently evil and really just has different viewpoints and values than they do. So, and the impact of this program on me and like my friends, it really taught us that a lot of some of the opinions that we thought were somewhat irrational really did have some rational backing to it. And the people who supported it weren't completely, like our perceptions of the people with specific views were actually completely wrong, because instead of following general feelings or like what we consider to be bandwagon politics, they really actually had logical motives for what they believed in. And some of the challenges throughout this event would probably be trying to encourage people to feel open to talk about their opinions, because a lot of people are very afraid to share what they truly think because they don't want to like offend someone. So that was probably the biggest challenge.
So for me personally, YALT is very meaningful because I have long been involved in these online political communities. And a pattern I've noticed a lot is that many of my peers use their diction disingenuously or in an attempt to look superior to others, similar to what Sanjay mentioned. I think seeing other people as not really human, but merely just a character on a screen kind of contributes to this idea that you can just use political discourse as a means to seem more knowledgeable or educated than others, which is actually very harmful when we're trying to be productive. So I think this is definitely exacerbated by the anonymity of the internet and how it makes people seem more distant. And I think it's really meaningful that in YALT, we are using the internet in the other direction. So we're using the internet positively to connect people, using Zoom to facilitate real human connection through political discussion. I think that YALT is super meaningful because we're teaching our generation important communication skills, both in these specific controversial topics and in just providing a good guide to how to conduct good faith discussion in general. And I think it's super essential to ensuring that our country can be productive in how we approach and solve all problems in an increasingly complicated world. So I think that YALT really teaches us empathy, and it gives the space for people to explain how exactly they arrived at their opinions, what exactly informs their values and the way they decide to live and view these issues. And it definitely helps support humanity and just the view that we're all human. And even though there are many huge divides amongst us in opinion, they can always be bridged because we have empathy for each other.
To share a little bit about YALT's personal impact on myself, one of the most eye-opening aspects of it was being able to discuss politics without a set destination in mind. Stripping away the pressure allowed me personally to open up more about my own beliefs, but more importantly, to admit when I wasn't sure about certain issues, when I felt I needed to learn more or know more, or just didn't really know how I felt. And that was something that I saw in a lot of our participants, coming in unsure, maybe uncertain about whether they were interested even in the political issues they were discussing, but realizing that there is so much more to learn and discover when we take away the traditional narratives about how to discuss politics and embrace a new form simply focused on understanding.
So next up, we have some testimonials from student attendees who really enjoyed our events. So let's hear from them what they enjoyed about our events and what they took away.
Hello, my name is Joshua Blackwell, and I was a fan of the YAPA event. One thing I really liked doing at the YAPA events was interacting with different people from across the United States. It gave me a cool new experience with people. The next thing I really liked was the nuance that was there, because I was able to understand people's different viewpoints better. I do know some people who don't present their viewpoints as well, but the people at YAPA did it amazingly, and it taught me a few things like how sexism is more prevalent than I would have expected.
Hi, I'm Aaron, and I was able to experience the YAPA Bridging the Community together. I think it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of informative sessions on policies that I would have never really even thought about. I think it was really great to have a professional opinion, as well as just a whole community of people that were feeling the same way, knowing that I had that support.
So in the second YALT talk, we have partnered with Braver Angels, and their members are very impressed with what YAPA does, and they really wish to partner more with the youth in bridging the political divide. And there are other organizations that we hope to reach out to, such as All Sides, Living Rooms. There are many organizations that provide topics and talking points to help people to converse with each other. As you can see from what the students said, they are actually more mature in civil discourse. A lot of us adults could learn from them. And in fact, the Braver Angels members told us that listening to them made them feel that America has a bright future, because we have young people like them who really care about bridging the divide and helping the entire country move forward. We hope that in addition to us hosting quarterly YALT event, we would welcome other high schools to host YALT event, and we can help them facilitate such event. And then we will hope to see more and more YALT and more high schoolers talking to each other and really learn about diverse perspectives.
Stay tuned for YAPA's upcoming forums and our other events to see how we grow and expand. If you're interested in joining us in our efforts to reconcile the political divide in our country, contact info for our leadership team can be found on our website. On behalf of the YALT team, we hope to continue making a difference in our community.
Thank you for watching.
Thank
Hi,
you all for
welcome.
listening. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you all for listening. Very much appreciate it.
So I'm going to jump in right here. Unfortunately, we are not going to
we're
have
out
time
of
for
time.
yeah, we're not going to have time for a
Great.
Q&A session here,
This is
but
great. Mhm.
if anybody does have questions, feel free to private message them to our presenters, or if we have time at the end, we can also loop back to this. But
Yeah, you can just PM me. I'll be answering questions in chat if anyone has any.
let's see. So Government 101 Civic Education, I believe, is our next project. Would you guys like to set things up and get started with that?
Yeah, so I'm Ava. I'm from Hanlin Youth, which was our Government 101 project, and we actually created a video. So we're just going to share that first.
You can be co-host real fast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, can we actually give co-host to Channing?
Oh, yeah, I had the video on my side. Oh, thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
I'm Ava. I'm Austin.
I'm Channing.
I'm Joshua.
We are
Hanlin
Youth.
The evolution of our project was quite a long story that spans almost a year. It all started in the November 2020 election. We assisted the local League of Women Voters to prepare elections pros and cons event for the immigrant community. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and we realized that the immigrant community do care about civic and political engagement, and it prompted us to move further and initiate new projects. In the summer of 2021, we participated in Government 101, where we have taken a significantly greater part in content creation. During the process, we also found the fascinating topic of redistricting and eventually started our own Districting 101 webinar in September, presenting the history and current significance of redistricting.
Our goal is to educate people on how our government works, especially immigrants and citizens who may be less familiar with our government and the details about it. In order to accomplish this goal, we decided to create civic education presentations to teach people about topics in government. We hosted webinars to share these presentations with members of our community who were interested in it. By doing this, we hope to promote civic participation from community members in our democracy. Knowledge makes it easier for people to get involved, so we hope to provide people with this knowledge so they understand how and why to get involved with the government. We also hope to provide accessibility to topics about government, which may not be easily accessible to immigrant families. The first step of accessibility is crucial to getting people involved in our democracy more. Overall, we believe that our democracy relies on civic participation. We want to share knowledge about government to increase civic participation from our community and strengthen our democracy.
First, we worked with the League of Women Voters to help prepare some Government 101 educational materials to teach people about the basics of our government. Our focus was to present the information in a way that is easy for people to understand how each level of government is structured and how it functions. The material was organized starting from federal to state to county and then city government. Since we are based in California, for state, we focused on California government, and for county, we used Santa Clara County as an example. We explained processes like the legislative process or how a law is created, as well as how the annual budget is passed. We also decided to highlight the topic of redistricting, as this is happening right now after the 2020 census. Redistricting will impact our government for the next 10 years, so we wanted to explain what it is and why it's important. We focused on gerrymandering, which is when redistricting is used to give more power to a certain party. We wanted to help people understand we should avoid gerrymandering so that everyone in the community has equal representation in our government.
Our team members all collaborated to bring our project to life. All of our team members contributed to every stage of the project. Everyone searched for videos and other media to add to the project slides. Each member researched the history and origin of redistricting and gerrymandering and how the government are affected and tried to solve these issues. We called and emailed various city officials for details on the inner workings of the redistricting progress in our state and county government. All members discussed how to best present our information to the audience to make it clear and concise, and presented our research in a webinar that we held on Zoom to present our findings to a larger public. We even went online to find pictures of gerrymandered districts and used Google Maps to pinpoint their location.
Results and impact. For our redistricting presentation, we shared our production with a few dozen people in a live webinar, with more people watching the recording later on. We even invited a local mayor to speak for a segment and a representative from League of Women Voters to help answer questions, plus contribute to the discussion with audience members. With our presentation, we were able to squeeze in lots of information into a compact amount of time. As our main target demographic were immigrants or simply unaware citizens, we recognized that most listeners coming in were unaware of most things happening in their own local neighborhood politics. Because we kept it brief, we believe that most, if not all, participants were able to at least understand the basics of redistricting. While nothing major has yet to happen, we believe that during their next redistricting, our listeners will understand the scenario and be able to tell their family and friends what to do in the case of action being required.
During our project, we faced numerous challenges, but we persevered and got through the obstacles. Originally, we had a lack of knowledge and confidence at the beginning, as this was a complicated and complex topic that many of us did not have too much experience in. However, we were able to strengthen our confidence by spending a lot of time researching and truly understanding every aspect of this redistricting project. In addition, this project required a lot of time commitment from the members, and time management was an issue as many of the members are very busy with their high school lives. This project helped us develop an efficient work ethic and create a tighter time management, which is an important skill that we will all benefit from in the future. Lastly, since this topic is not widely known and learned about, there were problems gaining interest from our communities. It was hard at first, as we did not receive the audience to listen about our project, but our persistence of not letting that stop our project helped gain traction and interest among our communities. Overall, I felt like this project was a great experience to have, as I learned an important topic and that I was not too familiar with. And this is an important learning experience from a political point of view, and also helped me learn team working and other skills necessary for my future.
I honestly went into this thinking I knew everything there is to know about the redistricting process. However, doing the research and having to show it in a presentable manner humbled me back down to earth. Before this, I didn't even know how many delegates were assigned to my local districts, but now I can safely say I know those who are chosen to represent my district and values. As a high school senior, it's mandatory for me to take a government course. Now I can combine my knowledge gained from creating these slides with my learnings into creating a broader map of how the American government truly works. Once the next redistricting happens for my local area, I'll be able to understand what's actually going on this time around.
I have learned more than I have expected, and this issue have a far wider impact than what I have anticipated. During the research process, I coincidentally also have 2 school projects that deal with the same topic of redistricting. Through the research, I also realized that some of the facts that have been popping up for a while, quite a few times, are actually not a well-known fact. When I mentioned the origin of the word gerrymandering as the combination of the last name of a governor and the word salamander, the whole class was amazed by this name and the fact that it's an actual word we use.
I was able to learn more about government and applied topics I've been exposed to in school. This project helped me understand more about these concepts in real-world situations and the importance of sharing this knowledge with others.
I have learned a lot working on this project. I learned new things about how the government in our country functions and what people do to try to manipulate it. I was always interested in politics, but I've never learned so much about this topic. I also never expected people to be disinterested in our government and its decision making.
Through this project, I learned a lot. I learned some general information about redistricting and how it could be done in the wrong way, like gerrymandering. Also, how redistricting should be used to help underrepresented communities achieve equal representation, which ensures equity in our government. Through the process, I learned life skills, like how to work with team members and how to research a topic effectively. And it is nice to be able to share new knowledge I've gained with the community and help other people better understand the topics.
Thank you for watching. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat.
Okay, yeah. So now that we have all the information, we plan to hold a few more webinars for like people who couldn't make it or missed it, and also for people who for other people who are interested. Also, since we're only 6 students in this organization, we're looking to possibly expand so that we can have more students, especially since some of the students we were working with are now seniors. So yeah. I think we could reach out to like students in our high schools, and then also just possibly like trying to find more people outside of that by maybe posting on social media and seeing what students are want to join and stuff like that. Do one of my team members want to answer the question about marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think for marketing, it's similar to like what we've been doing. Just continue sharing our webinars on social media and sharing them on any platforms that we have, and just spread them around the community so more people have access to them.
Yeah, adding to what Kevin said, we'll also probably be partnering with other organizations and communities. One organization that we partnered with this time was the League of Women Voters. So we'll definitely continue to partner with others and expand our reach.
All right, looks like we're about done with, I think, all the presentations at this point. We have a little bit of time, so if you guys want to ask another question, feel free to, but after that we're going to be taking a break. So it looks like there is, I think, one last question. If you guys answer that.
Yeah, so so at first we had some challenges gaining interest because many people in our community are not too familiar with the idea of gerrymandering, and it's basically like not a lot of people understand it and know it, so many people don't know actually the importance of it. But after persistence and numerous webinars, people actually went in and got interested, and they realized how important it is, and this is how we basically sort of gained traction and actually got our name out there.
All right. Thank you guys, Hanlin Youth, for the great presentation. So at this point, I believe we're going to take a 10-minute break, at which point we will resume with program showcases as opposed to specific kind of, I guess, student project presentations. So yeah, go ahead. We will meet back here at 10:30 a.m. So 9-minute break.
For the attendees here, don't forget you're welcome to jump around the different sessions for the upcoming program showcase to see which ones you're most interested in. I'm going to send the link to the program listing again. So if you scroll down to the section on programs, you can see which room each program will be presenting in.